Have you ever wondered if people who are experts on funny have a secret formula, wisdom on how to get a laugh, tricks and tips? Let's ask one, someone other than me. For this episode, I'm interviewing a respected Los Angeles, California acting coach, casting director, and comedy expert. And we're going to ask him to share his opinions and perspective on funny versus humor, and his thoughts on my claim that being humorous can be taught. He's going to share his list of credentials, but I wanted to speak with him because I know he was an actual comedy coach on 2 sitcoms and knows a thing or two about writing and performing comedy. Trust me, he has an expert level of information on the topic. We may agree, we may duke it out. You're just going to have to stick around and see what happens. First, let's watch this 4-second intro. Hey friends, welcome back to Punch It Up, where I teach folks how to add humor to their writing, conversations, and life using the draft method. We're going to get straight into this interview, so if you're new and don't know what the draft method is, stick around till the end and I'll go into more detail about it. Today, as a little treat for my YouTube pals, I've invited Gunnar Rohrbacher, who's the author of The Comedy Code, available on Amazon Books, and the creator and host of The Acting Insider here on YouTube. To future Alex, insert applause here.
No, that's not necessary at all, but please, yeah.
Thanks for coming, Gunnar. Are there any credits you want my viewers to know that I forgot or overlooked or was remiss in sharing?
Listen, when I introduce myself, I might say amazing conversationalist, but otherwise I think you've crushed it.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that, as I have had a conversation or two with you.
Maybe like at length at night on the phone, back when people did that.
Oh, remember? People are afraid to talk on the phone now.
They don't want to.
I don't blame them. I'm right there with them.
When is it ever good news?
Never. As you may or may not know, here on Punch It Up, what I'm trying to teach people is that they don't have to be innately funny to add humor to their lives. I teach them how they can really easily sort of use this tool or this tool or this tool to add humor. Your channel talks about acting specifically, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you are a teacher, I have some questions for you just regarding this topic of funny. And the first question is, do you think there is a difference between funny and humor?
There could be. There could be. I mean, I think there's a case to be made that they're synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if it's my take, which it must be because that's why I'm here, I think funny is visceral, funny is immediate, and to me the word humor is a bit more abstract and kind of like an umbrella term to describe the concept.
I don't think you have to be a funny person to be humorous, which is why I think I can teach you how to add humor without you being innately funny or just instinctively funny. You and I both know a lot of people, obviously, in the industry who are just funny people. And then there are people who just want to be funny. They want to be more relaxed. And I'm like, here's how you can do that. I don't think I was born funny. If I were to do a Southern accent and say, now that is not Christian, my parents would think I was making fun of someone and that it was mean. So funny wasn't a thing. So I sort of learned how to be humorous.
I think a lot of people have a similar experience developing their personal brand of funny. I think humor is universal, and I think it exists somewhere in all of us to some degree. The way I think we're all like musical. Does that mean we have the best singing voice? Does that mean we can learn to play one or several instruments? Not necessarily, but I think we all have musicality in the way we all have some humor.
See? I hope you got that. It went a little bit over my head, but I believe it.
Well, Alex, maybe because of the region of the country you're from.
Well, you're not being very Christian.
Well, I never have been.
Hey, question number 2. Do you think you have to be born funny to be humorous? Or do you feel, as I do, that even if you weren't born funny, you can learn to be humorous? We did kind of talk about it, but let's talk more.
I not only believe it, I know it. Because as a teacher, and I've been teaching for 30 years now, so the bulk of my adult life, I have taught people what you're teaching people, how to add humor. Granted, it might be via a scene or a character through the vehicle of acting, but I can still teach people how to be funnier or how to inject a point of humor that maybe would never have otherwise been there and would never have occurred to them. So some people just need to be coached.
Let me add this addendum to this question. What I want my channel to be is for everybody, actors, writers, but also just people and people who are looking to like interview better or just be more comfortable at a party or something. Have you seen people who've gone through your classes then take that and incorporate it in their everyday lives?
100%. I'm fortunate in that more than a few of my students have become personal friends. So I have insight into that answer. It's not just a vague abstract, oh, I guess so. I can see how they've grown not only funnier, but bolder and more confident. Because sometimes being funny, it takes encouragement to be confident enough, to be bold enough, to speak your mind. Because being funny or saying a funny thing, we all have it in us somewhere, at least a little bit. But some people weren't given permission to speak or speak up when they were kids. And if I can open that door, but I gave them a permission slip that apparently nobody else in life had ever given them. Does that make sense?
It does. And if you want to work with either of us, you'll contact me at Alexalexander.DRAFT at gmail.com.
You can contact me at my first and last name at gmail.com.
We'll cut you a deal. Question number 3. Can you share one or two of your techniques to add humor to a performance or a conversation?
My brain needs me to lay out a little context. I've taught improv. When you're speaking on the fly, so conversation or an improviser in an improvised scene where you can say whatever you want.
Right.
There are a great number of tools. Surprise information, playing with the timing, saying something, and letting a pregnant pause, which you're very good at, by the way. Did you see her eyes? A specificity.
I call it detail.
Right, labeling something specific. There's just a difference between saying I'm going to go to the store and saying I'm going to the college Walmart. You know, the one on the campus.
Right.
Because then you can layer in more and more specificity, and people find that funny because they find it relatable.
There's a difference between saying I went to the donut shop or saying I went to Yum Yum Donuts on Melrose Avenue, because wherever you are, there is a sketchy donut shop.
Donuts Yum is sketchy?
Well, it is at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Pregnant pause, specificity. Those are your two that you would start with.
Playing with time, specificity in particular. If you've got leeway on anything that you can say, staying away from general, because when we speak in general ways, it's almost as if we're apologizing. Like, I don't want to commit to too much. It can have a sense of fear and reservation and hesitation. Like, I don't want to commit to anything that exposes my personality too much or my thought process too much. I just kind of want to play it safe and, yes, engage with you, have a conversation with you, but it remains rather polite, and polite's not that funny.
And funny puts people at ease, surprisingly.
Humor is a very, very powerful communication skill and tool. Can I answer in the lane of acting? The one thing that I'll say when it comes to performance that applies to everyone, how can I have anyone be funnier in a scene with a script? That applies to life in general.
Right.
Be bolder. And I'll just keep it that simple. Just simply be bolder. Directorially, I could give you ways into a line. I could guide you into timing, ramping up pace. Those things might help make things funnier. But just simply getting in your core, speaking up, speaking out loud. And one of the things my mentor taught me, who you knew, Cynthia Seghetti, she's no longer with us, say it like it's the best thing anyone's ever said. And that applies to acting, to life, to everything. The world doesn't really respond to meek or uncertainty, but everybody could just be a little bit bolder. Oftentimes, if I just say, can you take more ownership of this and let me see that version, then I can give you more detailed notes.
Hey, allow me to interrupt really quickly and remind you, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and I want to try to build a community of folks who want to help each other make life a little better. Find that button and click or touch or, smash it, as you kids say. I'm really hoping to see you every week. I got it. One more question. Wait, before I go to that question, when you say be bolder, is there a specific performance or a specific moment that you think of? Okay, what is it?
You can't handle the truth. I'm not saying you can't.
Right.
You know that line, you can't handle the truth.
What about comedy, though? Is there a comedic?
Oh, I thought that was funny.
Oh. I do definitely find hilarious. It's called A Few Good Men. Go look it up.
Okay, first thing that came up comedically, Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids. She's made of boldness. I don't say be bigger. A lot of times actors, students will say, that feels too big. And I say, that's your fear. Do you think Melissa McCarthy should dial it down? Jim Carrey? Should the late, great Robin Williams have just put it down a scotch? They're not people to be taken lightly, or people who will be denied.
Let me say this for the viewing audience who's getting a tight chest right now, having someone tell you to be bold. You don't have to be a Jim Carrey or Melissa McCarthy or a Robin Williams to be bold. For example, Amy Schumer is very bold, but she's not over the top.
It's a bold point of view. Sarah Silverman.
Tina
Schumer,
Fey.
right. It's up here. It's in the thought process, and it's a rebellious thought process without apology.
Which all sounds really hard. If you start with draft, just doing these small, easy things, you'll kind of get addicted to it, and then you'll want to do more.
Can I give them something?
Yeah.
You have permission.
Last question. Do you agree with the long-standing sentiment that dying is easy, comedy is hard?
No.
First of all, dying isn't that easy. As we've
Okay, that's what you just stepped on my answer.
Sorry.
Host. Good hosting. Dying's not easy. No one ever wants to bomb. You don't want to bomb in a speech. You don't want to bomb in a presentation. That's dying in a way, and that's not easy. And then in terms of a literal performance, if you have to enact a death scene, and no, you better be really good in practice before you give that a shot. Is comedy harder than drama? It depends on the person. I don't think it's an adage or that you can apply universally to everyone. When I started to learn to perform, it was very hard for me to learn that I could make mistakes. I felt funny. I had a funny family. I was trained in sarcasm pretty well. I think I had a degree. That was all good, but I was shy. I was lacking the boldness. I learned freedom. And for me, that was a lot of it. Was comedy easy? It was, if I felt safe. Was it easy to share broadly with an audience? Not until I grew. It's easier for me to look foolish now. It's easier for me to fail now. I look at failures as lessons, not to say that I'm not disappointed, but they don't undo me. I'm in a very vulnerable space right now. Be careful of what you say.
The reason I think comedy is hard is because comedy is subjective. My friend sends me little videos and memes and whatnot. I will very often be like, the crap you will laugh at, girl. You can go to a comedy film and you will see everyone else laughing and you aren't, and vice versa. You're going to find your groove. It'll start to feel second nature.
Bringing it back home to that, so much of it is learnable. If everybody went, let me just take at least a second to pretend like all the rules and the regulations that I've been taught didn't exist for a second. What would I do? What would I change? How would I make this better? How would I make it suit me? And just even thinking about that for a second changes who you are. Am I right about that, sister?
Amen and hallelujah.
No, I was coming here to testify today, but it just came out. Have I changed the world?
Probably changed some people's worlds.
I've changed some people's worlds. Okay, I will buy that.
Yeah. I just want to help people, add humor to whatever it is they're doing. That intention is important because I know that's a similar thing that you're doing, demystifying acting and demystifying the industry. Knowledge is power. And if you feel powerful, you're going to find things are going to be easier. I always say, you're not all going to like it. You're not going to like it all. Take what you want, leave the rest. I'm just here to help.
I'm going to give you a compliment because off of what you just said a second ago, one of the things that you're very good at is calmly asking questions. Take one step at a time into a problem or an issue or a concern, finding power. When you have power, you lower defense. When we can lower our defense is when we can grapple with the truth of just about anything. When we get overwhelmed, we also get defensive. That gets in the way of us being our best selves, which is also our funnest and then funniest. I've always targeted tolerable.
Sure.
And sometimes I don't hit it.
Sometimes I don't hit that target. Awesome. Thank you for coming by. The Acting Insider, the Acting Insider and the Comedy Code. I'll put all the information down below that you can click on easily because we all like ease.
And you can get inside with me. You can get inside acting with me.
That was provocative.
It was humorous and funny. Hope you were taking notes.
All right, stick around. I'm going to say goodbye to this mofo, and then I'll talk about the draft method.
Cheers, everybody. Take care.
For those of you who are new here, the draft method is a technique I developed to help people who don't think they have a funny bone find and add humor to their lives. It's a comfortable and easy way to up your humor game on all fronts. DRAFT stands for details, references, authenticity, fallibility, and the rule of three. I've gone in deep explaining the basics of this simple approach. And again, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can contact me at alexalexander.DRAFT@gmail.com. And if you have a piece of writing that's 500 words or less that you'd allow me to share here on the channel, send it to me and I'll work with it, with you, and with everyone watching. That's a great way to explore the system. Thanks for staying to the end, and if you don't know this already, done good. I'm rolling. I didn't realize.
Oh, and I've broken that.
I had to move you forward because when you were leaning back, you were ruining the illusion that this is actually a shelf and not a backdrop. Here we go.